Thank you. Thank you. A couple of years ago on a Sunday morning, I got a phone call from one of my colleagues, a fellow speaker. He was sick, needed somebody to fill in for him. On Tuesday, I looked at my calendar, I was open. So I immediately hung up the phone and called up one of the major, top 2 U.S. airlines and asked for a reservation to this location, which is about an hour plus away. I asked for the fare, one way, $450. I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, there's got to be a better fare. I said, look it up. And she looked. She says, oh, I found one, $169. I said, I want it. She said, there are 2 restrictions. I said, what are they? She said, number 1, it's non-refundable. I said, no problem, I'm going on Tuesday. I said, what's the other restriction? She said, it's a 3-day advance purchase. I said, what are you telling me this for? You get my hopes up, I don't qualify. She said, yes, you do. I said, how do you figure? She said, Sunday's day 1, Monday's day 2, and Tuesday's day 3. That's 3 days. I said, hey, if that's the way you count, book it. So she does all the relevant information, and at the end she said, would you like me to mail it to you? Next morning, bright and early, 9 a.m., call up my travel agent. Give her all the relevant information, ask her to deliver the ticket by noon. We hang up the phone. She calls me back 10 minutes later, said, Tony, there's a problem, and the airline wants to talk to you, not me. I said, whoa. I call up the airline. I give them my number, reservation number. She pulls it up and says, oh, I see the problem. I said, the problem? What do you mean the problem? She said, the problem is that we quoted you the wrong fare. We quoted you $169. The actual fare is $450. You're going to have to pay $450. I said, oh, no. You got this wrong. You quoted me $169 yesterday. I made all my plans based around that. I expect you to honor that fare. She said, do you have the ticket in hand? I said, no. She said, well, then you're paying $450. I said, let me get this straight. What I hear you telling me is that your person made a mistake, but I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to be punished. Is that what I'm hearing? She said, yes. I said, let me speak to your supervisor. She said, okay. Put me on hold. 7 minutes later, the supervisor gets on the phone. I said, ma'am, are you familiar with my situation? She said, yes, I'm very familiar, and you're going to pay $450. I said, you don't even want to hear my side of the story. She said, no, it's irrelevant. Let me tell you what our company policy is. You ever hear that before? Let me tell you basically how we will allow you to do business with us. So after she recites her company policy, I said, look, obviously we're not going to get anywhere. Can I speak to your supervisor? She said, I don't have one. I said, ma'am, I find that hard to believe. This is a major United States airline. You got to report to somebody. She said, I just told you I don't report to anybody at this location. I said, at this location? Give me somebody you report to at another location. She said, I don't report to anybody. I report to nobody. I said, this is incredible. I can't believe the way I'm being treated. Give me the number for corporate. I'll take care of it. She said, it won't do you any good. I said, hey, you don't know me. You give me the number, let me handle it. She said, I told you it won't do any good. I said, why? She said, they won't answer the telephone. And she meant it. Now, if you were in my position, how would you feel right about now? How many people would feel angry? Can I see your hands? How many would be like I was, furious? See, this is what I call in customer service terminology a moment of misery. And when customers experience a moment of misery, they typically take their business elsewhere, or they tell other people about it. You've probably read the statistics that when a customer experiences a moment of misery, they tell an average of 20 people about that moment of misery. Now me, I break the average. But depending on how bad that moment of misery is, We don't just tell other people. We vote with our dollars. We take our business elsewhere. The irony is that several years ago, when the frequent flyer programs first started, do you remember back in the early 80s? This customer loyalty program. I started my flying on that airline. Quickly, within the first year, built up 250,000 miles. I was one of their ultimate frequent flyers. But yet they consistently had moments of misery for me. And I decided to take my business elsewhere. Every so often I am forced to fly them because they have either the best or the only itinerary to a particular area I'm going. Now, by the way, I took my business someplace else. I was just the other day after another moment of misery with that airline, and they are consistent, I will tell you that. I was looking to see how many miles I had with them. And since I dropped basically doing business with them as my primary carrier at 250,000 miles, I've built over the last about 12 years up to 400,000 miles. The airline that I went to because of them, I just looked at my frequent flyer mileage, 5.9 million miles. How much did they lose by their moments of misery? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business. Now, the company that I went to, the airline that I went to, they're very different. I was talking to them on the telephone, making a reservation for Orlando. Little did I know that my 12-year-old daughter overheard the phone call. And of course, you know, when a 12-year-old hears Orlando, what are they thinking? Disney World, Universal Studios, Nickelodeon, I mean, all these things. So that night at dinner, you have kids? I knew something was wrong at the dinner table. I have 4 kids, and they're looking at each other like this. I said, all right, what's going on? What's going on? What's the secret? My 12-year-old said, Dad, we decided, we voted, where we're going on our family vacation this year. I said, where? She said, Orlando. I said, Orlando? Why would you pick Orlando? She said, Dad, you're going there, and Disney World, and etc. And I said, wait a second. We live in San Diego, right up the road is Disneyland. Let's go to Disneyland. We save some money. I said, Jessica, you got to be kidding me. That's the other side of the country. You know how much it costs to fly to Orlando from San Diego? She said, yes, I do. Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do? How much is it? She said 20,000 frequent flyer miles. I said, all right. Well, I called. First choice, second choice, third choice, not available. Fourth choice was available. Pretty inconvenient, but it was available. DC-10 took all of us. We're going to Orlando. I told the kids that night. My 12-year-old, my 8-year-old started packing, even though the trip was 2 months from then. The excitement built as we got closer and closer and closer to the day. A week before, I get a phone call from the airline. Dr. Alessandra, you know that trip you're going on with your family to Orlando? I said, yeah. She said, we have a little problem. I said, what do you mean a problem? She said, well, we were flying a DC-10 and we've now downgraded the aircraft to a 727, and as a result, your whole family can't fit on that flight. She said, no, I just wanted to tell you what happened, but we have taken your entire family and put them on another flight, and I really hope it is not an inconvenience, and that's why I'm calling you. And I said, well, what's the flight? The flight she told me was my number one choice that wasn't available at first. And she said, Dr. Alessandra, is that a problem? And I said, no, I'll accept it. She said, I feel so badly that we had to do this. She said, I was thinking of a way to compensate you. I said, compensate? She said, yes, I would like your permission to upgrade your entire family to first class round trip. Would that be okay? I said, let me think about that. I'm not sure. Well, we went, we had a great time. The kids still talk about those hot fudge sundaes. See, what they created was a moment of magic. And when companies create a moment of magic for customers tend to tell an average of 10 people Now, isn't that unbelievable? A moment of misery, we tell 20 people. A moment of magic, we tell 10. If you look at today's environment, I really believe that those companies that have a competitive advantage, they are the ones that create consistent moments of magic. Think of the companies that really have competitive advantages. And if we truly do want a competitive advantage, we need to create consistent moments of magic and eliminate as much as possible moments of misery.